Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Fifth Quarter. I'm Mike Ciarochi, sports editor of Herald-Standard.com, joined as always by George Von Benko, author of Memory Lane and WMBS radio personality. George, pretty happy topic today. The Steelers' 25-17 win over the New England Patriots yesterday, pretty much a masterpiece.
Well, let's just put it this way. The monkey is off their back for the time being because everybody had said that Pittsburgh can't beat New England. Brady was 6-1 against the Steelers coming in that game, 4-1 against LeBeau. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm watching the opening drive, the opening Pittsburgh drive. And I kept having to look and make sure that it was black and gold that I was watching, not because it was a New England-like drive.
It looked very much like Tom Brady and Wes Welker and all those guys wearing the funny-colored uniforms.
Yes.
But, masterful, just a tremendous game plan, and was executed almost flawlessly. I mean, you can't take plays away, but the Roethlisberger interception in the second quarter.
That was I think he tried to force that ball to Sanders.
And it was right after he took the sack, which was bad. But hey, I'm not going to hold that against him.
If I have anything that I'm a little disappointed with, and it's hard to be disappointed with anything, it's I wish they would have punched it in a couple of times instead of getting field goals.
Instead of settling for the field goals, right? Yeah. But when you keep Brady and the Patriots
98 yards.
Well, you keep them on the bench for all but 3 plays of the first quarter. You force 1 3 and out, and the defense is done till the second quarter. That's some pretty good. That's some pretty good offense.
And let's give some kudos to Mr. LeBeau, who everybody said Tom Brady owned Dick LeBeau.
Yeah.
No. The 6 defensive backs, the different schemes that they were doing. And plus, he's playing without several key members of his defense, and they were almost without Woodley for almost the entire second half after he got hurt in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And I just thought that they had Brady a little confused. He was looking around. He was holding on to the ball much longer than he normally did. And the other big thing that you and I talked about when we previewed this game, you had to like the way they tackled. Because New England, 46% of their yardage in passing is after the catch. So you got to make that tackle, and I thought they did an outstanding job tackling.
The secondary just played outstanding. They were lights out the whole game. And even by Tom Brady's own admission, they played more man than he expected. That's kind of manning up. That's kind of like, I can almost hear Tomlin in the meeting room saying, okay, it's time for big boy football. You want to be a cornerback, go out here and guard this guy and show me what you got. And they did it. They were up to the challenge. I'd have to look at the numbers, but I think the majority of the catches were by the tight ends for New England. Wes Welker never really
Gronkowski had 9. Welker did have 8, but only for 39 yards.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Limiting the yards after catch.
You keep them down to 6.5 yards a catch, you're doing all right. But again, the leading receiver was a tight end, and of course Aaron Hernandez got the touchdown that counted, as did Deion Branch got a touchdown too. But
this is worth pointing out too. Daniel Sepulveda only had to punt one time,
and that was right at the end of the game, the last Steelers possession.
Think about that. I mean, that's
after Ben took blame for taking the 2 or 3 consecutive sacks there toward the end.
Well, and actually,
put the ball up.
If you were listening when I had it in my ear, the Steelers radio broadcast, that they were wondering what was going on there because they lost 30-some yards on those 2 plays.
Right. And that brought down his passer rating. Actually, believe it or not, if you had watched the game, which I'm sure most of our viewers did, who would you guess had the better passer rating?
That just tells you all you need to know about passer ratings, because Brady was 101.8 and Ben was 97.5.
Right, but you know what? Brady had no interceptions, and they do take a lot. It's a big penalty. An interception is a big penalty in the passer rating, which is not to be confused with the new, what do they call it, a quarterback rating?
Yes.
It includes the rushing yards and all that.
It includes the rushing yards. They're just trying to confuse us.
Yeah. Didn't take much. But this is the old style passer rating that the NFL still uses, and they include in their on their play-by-plays. But But you can have. We'll give Brady his 101.8 passer rating.
I'll take the win. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as he's at 198 yards instead of 398 or
that's his
like
lowest of the season, and quite frankly, one of the lower production ratings for him in the past few years. One other guy I want to point out who doesn't get a lot of love sometimes from the Steeler fans, I thought Rashard Mendenhall had a very workmanlike day with 70 yards, but the yards per carry were what caught my eye.
Yes. Let me flip back here and we'll get those numbers. You got 5.4 yards a carry. That's pretty productive. He did have a long of 18, which always helps bring up the numbers. And the Steelers as a team, everyone says, oh, they passed the ball by the players and coaches on admission. We wanted to control the ball by throwing it. They still managed 98 yards rushing.
They still managed 98 yards rushing, but getting back to controlling the ball by throwing it, Ben passed to 10 different receivers. He spread the ball around.
Yeah, yes, he did. And the third down conversions, as you might imagine, were outstanding. They converted 3 third downs that were double digit, that were at least 3rd and 10.
Well, and that's a very un-New England-like number for their third down conversions, 3 of 10, 30%.
Right. It showed that the Steelers' defense did what they were supposed to do, get off the field and let the offense go back. But just when you look at just the scoring drives, the
time that they chewed up is what
it was
but each one of the drives, I think, each one of the drives, I think, was each one of them was over 5 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. All the scoring drives. Yeah, I see. You're chewing up 11 plays, then 16 plays, then 10 plays, 14 plays, 11 plays. That's just phenomenal.
That's
offensive football.
Old school, though.
Speaking of people getting beat up a lot, Bruce Arians had a pretty good day yesterday.
Oh, but it amazes me. I'm listening to some of the talk shows, and they're still beating him up. See, you don't have to throw the ball long all the time. You can get the ball out just probably. That's a no-win situation.
Well, you know what, the Arians, that is elevator music.
Right.
That's all it is.
That's a no-win situation.
There.
But the thing that was amazing about that too is. He spread it out with 10 different receivers. They chewed up all that time. But that's old school. I mean, the theory about beating New England has always been, since Brady's been there, keep the offense off the field.
Right.
And that's what they did.
Worked to perfection. They did not get a turnover until the latter stages. I don't know, is that considered a turnover when you get a safety? Is it a turnover? I don't believe it is.
I don't believe it is. The turnovers are on the front page, I think.
I believe so. Regardless, it's not that page. Regardless, it was a pretty good effort. Obviously, an outstanding effort by the Steelers. I don't believe that is a turnover.
No, it is not showing up as a turnover. So,
but they did everything they wanted to do without the benefit of a turnover.
And let's point out what a smart play that was by Polamalu.
Yes,
he batted it out of the end zone to get the safety.
And he wasn't necessarily aiming to get it out of the end zone. He just wanted to get it because he knew the chances of him recovering it were not good.
And Ziggy almost got it, but it just went out before.
Polamalu managed to get a hand on it and bat it out of.
And there's another guy. Speaking of the defense, since his return from the injury, how well has Brett Kiesel been?
Oh yeah, he's been lights out, outstanding. He was the one who started that play, if I'm not mistaken.
He was, and then he had another play where he similar to what Buffalo did, which caused all those interceptions. Right. He batted a ball. I thought he had an outstanding game, and there was other guys. I mean, Larry Foote, who had 4 tackles and 4 assists. Ryan Clark was knocking people around all over the place. You had to like what they did.
Once a little too rough.
Once a little bit too rough. Although that was he did hit him in the headgear a little bit, but it was sort of in the high chest. But he was out of bounds. He was out of bounds.
It was a legitimate call. I'm not going to argue any of that. As some of the people in New England they're probably still whining a little bit about
the much maligned William Gay?
Oh yeah, he's been great all year. I didn't notice any increase in efficiency or anything from him yesterday because he's been doing it all season, I believe. And
as it turned out, at the end of the game, they're using little used Cortez Allen. They're using Carter at linebacker, which unfortunately the early reports that I get is coming up with Baltimore. There's not going to be James Ferrier, who's out with a torn calf muscle. He's going to be out for a month. Harrison, still iffy. Doesn't look like he's going to be back. And even though Lamar Woodley told everybody after the game that the hamstring was going to be okay, based on what was being said today, a lot of people feel that Woodley may not be available for Baltimore as well. So it was costly in that regard.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure that all out later in the week. But for now, you know, Coach Tomlin said it himself. We're going to bask in the glory of this for today, and then tomorrow we'll worry about what's next on our plate. But you know, speaking of Sunday's result over New England, I mean, it kind of puts the Steelers in the driver's seat in the AFC, does it not?
Well, everybody was talking about that after the ball game. You know, the so-called talking heads on national television. The Steelers are back.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they hadn't really gone anywhere, but that was a signature win that they needed to get back in the national spotlight.
And I will say this: the team that played yesterday against New England looked 150% better than the team that took the field in Baltimore on opening day.
Well,
they've gotten better week by week by week.
The stench of that loss is still in everybody's nostrils.
Now, there's a way to get rid of that.
There is a way, and you don't like to use revenge as a motive, but I'm sure that's gonna. They haven't forgotten. Believe me, they haven't forgotten.
Certainly not against the team you play twice a year.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can. There's anything more to be gleaned here. Lamar Woodley, two sacks for 21 yards in losses.
Now, what's the record? He's got a streak going. That's the first time consecutive sacks in 4 consecutive games, I think it is.
No, multiple sacks.
Multiple sacks.
In 4 consecutive games.
Yeah.
He also has a streak going of, boy, let me get this right. Going back to last season, including the playoff games, he has at least half a sack in, I want to say 8 or 9 consecutive games.
Something like that. Yeah, I remember them. You know, during the game, they
they announced it, and actually, I put it into my notes, quotes, and anecdote story for today in today's Herald-Standard.com. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting game next Sunday. But you know, going back to this game, let's look at the halftime stats a little bit just to see. My comment at halftime, and there were other people who had the exact same feeling, was, boy, for all the domination that the Steelers
it was only a 7-point lead.
Yeah. In the first half, they totally dominated the game.
Well, look at the time of possession at halftime: 21-13 to 8:47. That's pretty dominant, you know.
And you look at the number of plays. Of course, New England had a drive late in the second quarter, but the Steelers were still had 20 plays, 43 that they ran to 23 for New
Well, let's be honest, though. The touchdown was given up because of the interception. They gave him a short field.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah. And I was talking about the field goal drive late in the first half.
They did have that field goal.
10-play drive.
Yeah.
So short of that, it would have been, you know, a bigger disparity than 20 plays, which is a lot in and of itself.
All in all, a very satisfying victory.
Yes. And with that, we will get back to you later in the week with a more in-depth preview of the Baltimore Ravens game coming up Sunday night on NBC, I believe. That'll wrap up this edition. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.